I love Kirstie Alley. Madhouse looked amazing. I had really high hopes for this, particularly because it took me quite a while to track it down. I have to say, it kind of lived up to my expectations in some ways, and maybe about a third of it didn't. So this film was released in 1990, written and directed by Tom Rupolowski. I apologise if I've mispronounced that. And stars, of course, Kirstie Alley, alongside John Larroquette. And they play a couple who have just moved into what I can only describe as their dream home. And then the husband, Mark, it's Jesse and Mark Bannister, Mark's brother says that he and his wife are actually going to go and stay there. And, okay, 2 people in the house uninvited, not ideal, but not the worst. But then somebody else turns up, and then that person's son turns up, and then somebody else turns up. And as the film progresses, it gets more and more, if you like, mad, and the house gets busier and busier, and Jesse and Mark become increasingly frustrated, and as the narrative develops, things just get more and more out of control and out of hand, and for the most part I think it works well, but there were a few times when I thought it was maybe a bit over the top for no reason. It's the scene involving the elephant, and hopefully that will whet your appetite to watch it, because there is a baby elephant in this. I won't say why or how, but the scene kind of immediately after that, and I can't say any more than that to identify it, but the scene that's immediately after that I thought was unnecessary, and the events that followed after that, I thought it made it a bit too dark. I would have liked it to be set all during the day, and I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but this is a comedy, and I just find that as soon as you set a comedy in dark outside, it takes on a slightly more sinister tone, and it loses that frivolity. But thankfully that's kind of only, not even a third of the film, but there is that section where I just kind of thought, this is losing its appeal. It's not quite as fun as it was to begin with. But then towards the end it picks back up again. Get some really brilliant performances from everybody, but particularly from Kirstie Alley, as her character just becomes so fed up with the situation, and she just takes matters into her own hands and sorts everything out in a way that she knows how to. Whether or not that has any consequences for her, I'm not going to tell you, but I kind of liked her character development, and I loved her performance. So although Madhouse is not the perfect film that I hoped it would be, I still thoroughly enjoyed it, and if you're a fan of, Kirstie Alley or anybody in this, or just chaotic films, I think it's one you're going to want to check out. It's pretty good.